The letter was never meant to be found. For nearly 12 years, it remained hidden beneath a loose wooden board inside the old Bennett stable. No one searched there. No one even knew the board could be lifted until the night Benjamin Bennett announced his daughter's marriage. Oil lamps filled the dining room with warm golden light. Nearly every respected ranch owner in Willow Creek sat around the long oak table. Expensive china, fresh flowers, crystal glasses, everything looked perfect. Emily Bennett moved quietly between the guests, refilling coffee cups before anyone had to ask. Since her mother died 5 years earlier, she had managed almost every gathering herself. Benjamin Bennett stood from his chair and gently tapped his glass. The conversation stopped immediately. He smiled proudly. My friends, I have waited a long time for this evening. Several guests nodded. Across the room sat Nathan Caldwell, the son of the country's wealthiest cattle investor. His dark suit looked far too expensive for ranch life. Benjamin placed one hand on Nathan's shoulder. It brings me great happiness to announce that my daughter Emily will marry Nathan before winter. Applause echoed through the room. Someone congratulated both families. Another joke that two fortunes had just won. Nathan stood. He looked toward Emily with a polite smile. I promise she will never have to worry about anything again. Emily forced herself to smile. Inside, she felt absolutely nothing. No excitement, no happiness, only silence. No one had asked whether she wanted this marriage. The decision had already been made. Benjamin continued discussing wedding plans while Emily quietly carried the empty serving tray toward the kitchen. Her cousin Sarah caught her arm. Emily, you didn't know. Emily barely shook her head. Sarah looked toward Benjamin before whispering, I'm sorry. Emily smiled gently. It is not your fault. A few moments later, she stepped outside without telling anyone. The October air felt colder than usual. She walked across the yard while music drifted faint from the house behind her. The celebration continued. No one noticed she was gone. She crossed the horse corral, passed the water trough, then stopped beside the stable. A single lantern still glowed inside. Someone was working. Emily pushed the wooden door open. The familiar smell of leather and fresh hay greeted her. Near the back wall, a ranch hand sat repairing an old saddle. His sleeves were rolled above his elbows, dark brown hair, weathered hands, quiet eyes. He didn't notice her immediately. His attention remained fixed on the torn leather beneath the lantern. Emily had seen him almost every morning during the past 2 months. His name was Luke Harper. He rarely spoke, worked harder than anyone, and somehow always disappeared before supper. Without looking up, he quietly said, I wondered how long it would take before someone escaped that party. Emily stopped. You knew I was here. I heard the door. Only then did he lift his eyes. He noticed the sadness on her face almost instantly. The announcement didn't go the way you hoped. Emily leaned lightly against one of the stalls. So everyone heard the whole county probably will be tomorrow. She gave a tired smile. I suppose they will Luke return to repairing the saddle. He didn't ask questions, he didn't offer advice. The silence somehow felt comforting. After nearly a minute, Emily spoke again. You are not going to congratulate me. Luke looked at her. No. She raised an eyebrow. No, I don't congratulate people for things they didn't choose. Emily looked down at the wooden floor. Those simple words reached her more deeply than every speech inside the house. For the first time that evening, someone had seen her, not Benjamin Bennett's daughter, not Nathan Caldwell's future wife, just Emily. She slowly walked further into the stable. One of the older horses stretched its head over the stall door, gently nudging her shoulder. She smiled and stroked its nose. You always know where to hide. The horse snorted softly. Luke chuckled under his breath. Emily looked toward him. I have never heard you laugh before. I usually don't. You don't do much talking either. I find life quieter that way. She laughed, a real laugh this time, small but genuine. Luke noticed immediately. There, Emily frowned. What? That smile. It suits you better than pretending. The words caught her completely off guard. Nathan had spent an entire evening talking about houses, investment, and family reputation. Luke had spoken barely 30 sentences. Yet somehow he had understood her better. Emily looked away before he could notice the tears forming in her eyes. As she stepped backward, her boot caught against a loose plank beneath an old workbench. The board shifted. Something slid across the floor, an old envelope covered with dust. Emily bent to pick it up. The paper had yellowed with age. Across the front, written in faded handwriting, was six words: if anyone finds this, please forgive me. She stared at the sentences. Curiosity slowly replaced sadness. Luke. He looked up. The moment he saw the envelope, every trace of color disappeared from his face. He stood so suddenly, the wooden stool behind him crashed onto the floor. For several long seconds, neither of them moved. Luke took one slow step toward her. His noise barely rose above a whisper. Please, don't open it. Luke's eyes never left the envelope. Emily looked from the faded paper to his face. You know this letter. Luke swallowed slowly. I know where it came from. Emily gently turned the envelope in her hands. There is not even a name. There was not supposed to be. His voice had become strangely quiet, almost frightened. Emily studied the old paper again. The edges were worn. A corner had been repaired with thin thread. Someone had cared enough to preserve it. Luke finally stepped closer. Please, give it to me. She didn't move. Tell me why. Luke closed his eyes for a moment. If I tell you now, everything changes. Emily searched his face. You keep saying that because it's true. Outside, another burst of laughter came from the house. The engagement party continued. Emily looked toward the sound before quietly placing the envelope into Luke's hand. He held it carefully, like something precious. I have kept this hidden for 12 years. Emily blinked. 12 years. Luke nodded. I promised someone I would never let anyone find it. Who? He looked toward the stable door. My father. Emily remained silent. Luke slipped the envelope back inside his coat. I'm sorry, I can't explain more. You don't trust me. He immediately shook his head. It is not about trust, it's about keeping someone else's promise. Emily wanted to ask another dozen questions. Instead, she simply nodded. I understand. Luke looked surprised. You do? No, she smiled faintly. But I understand what promises mean. For the first time, Luke smiled back. It was small but genuine. The stable door suddenly opened. Miss Bennet, a young servant, hurried inside. Your father's asking for you. Emily sighed. I am coming. The servant disappeared. Emily looked back at Luke. I suppose tomorrow will be different. Luke answered softly. Tomorrow changes everything. That night, Emily barely slept. She kept seeing Luke's frightened expression. Not when he looked at her, when he looked at the letter. Something terrible had happened. She could feel it. Before sunrise, she was already outside. Most of the ranch still slept. Only smoke rising from the kitchen chimneys showed any sign of life. When she reached the stable, Luke was already working. He was brushing an old grey horse. The animal rested its head against his shoulder. Emily smiled. He likes you. Luke scratched behind the horse's ears. He likes anyone who brings apples. Emily laughed. So that's your secret. We looked toward her. You came early. I couldn't sleep, neither could he. She could tell from his tired eyes. Nathan Caldwell arrived shortly after breakfast. His carriage stopped directly in front of the house. Benjamin Bennett greeted him with a warm handshake. Emily stood beside the porch trying to smile. Nathan offered her a small velvet box. I thought this belonged to you. Emily opened it. Inside rested an expensive gold necklace. Several women standing nearby gasped. It's beautiful, Emily said politely. Nathan smiled proudly. It came from New York. Benjamin nodded approvingly. A gentleman should know how to treat his future wife. Emily quietly closed the box. Thank you. Nathan seemed satisfied. He never noticed she never actually wore it. An hour later, Emily slipped away again. The stable had somehow become the only peaceful place on the ranch. Luke was loading hay into a wagon. He looked up as she entered. I had a feeling you had come. Emily leaned against the doorway. Am I becoming predictable? No, you just don't belong inside that house. The boats surprised both of them. Luke immediately looked away. I'm sorry. Emily smiled softly. Don't be. She watched him work. You have traveled a lot? A little. What was your favorite place? Luke thought for a moment. There was a small ranch in Montana. What made it special? No one cared who your father was. Emily looked at him quietly. I think I like that place. Outside, Nathan happened to ride past the stable. He slowed his horse. From a distance, he saw Emily laughing, not with him, with Leo. Nathan's smile slowly disappeared. He watched them for another few seconds, then quietly rode away. That evening, Nathan spoke privately with Benjamin Bennett. I don't believe it's appropriate. Benjamin looked up. Was what is not? Your daughter spending so much time with a ranch hand. Benjamin frowned. They were simply talking. Nathan lowered his voice. People notice these things. Benjamin didn't answer immediately. Instead, he looked through the office window toward the table. Luke was repairing another fence. Emily stood nearby holding nails while he worked. Benjamin's expression slowly hardened. I will handle it. The following morning, Benjamin called Luke into his office. Luke removed his hat before entering. He wanted to see me, sir. Benjamin remained seated behind the large oak desk. For several moments, he simply looked at Luke, then quietly asked, where were you born? Luke hesitated. Benjamin watched him carefully, and before that, Luke's hand tightened around his hat. I don't remember much. Benjamin stood. You remind me of someone. Luke remained silent. Benjamin walked toward an old cabinet. He opened a drawer. Inside lay an old photograph. He placed it on the desk. Luke's eyes widened. The picture showed two young ranchers standing beside a horse. One of them looked exactly like Luke, only older. Benjamin watched his reaction. You know this man? Luke slowly nodded. My father. Benjamin's face turned pale. I knew it. Silence filled the room. Benjamin whispered, I buried that family 20 years ago. Luke finally looked him in the eye. My father was not buried. He disappeared, and before he disappeared, he told me never to return to Willow Creek. Benjamin took one slow step backward outside the office door. Emily had just arrived. She froze. She had not meant to listen, but the words she heard stopped her cold. Your father didn't disappear, Benjamin whispered. He was betrayed. Emily stood outside the office door, unable to move. Inside, Benjamin Bennett slowly lowered himself into his chair. Luke remained standing. Neither man spoke for several seconds. Finally, Benjamin broke this silence. I thought your father died. Luke shook his head. No. He left Willow Creek after someone accused him of stealing $20,000 from the ranch payroll. Benjamin closed his eyes. I remember. Luke reached into his coat. Very carefully, he placed the old envelope on the desk. This is why he left. Benjamin stared at it. His hands began to shake. I never wanted to see that letter again. Luke pushed it closer. You never even opened it. Benjamin slowly picked it up. The paper cracked as he unfolded it. His old friend Thomas Harper's handwriting covered both pages. Benjamin, I didn't steal your money. Nathan Caldwell's father forced me to take the blame. He threatened my family. If you are reading this, it means my son finally found the courage to come home. Don't punish him for my mistake. He is innocent. Benjamin read the last line twice, then lowered his head into his hand. My God, Luke spoke quietly. My father kept that letter hidden because he hoped one day you would know the truth. Benjamin looked up. 12 years. I hated him for 12 years. Luke nodded. So did everyone else. Outside, Nathan had arrived earlier than expected. He stepped onto the porch just in time to see Luke leaving Benjamin's office. Their eyes, Nathan smiled. So the ranch hand gets private meetings now. Luke answered calmly, Have a good afternoon. Nathan stepped into his path. I know your type. Luke didn't move. You think because Miss Bennet smiles at you, you have become important. Luke looked directly into his eyes. No, I think honestly eventually matters. Nathan's smile disappeared. You should remember your place. Luke simply walked away. That calmness somehow made Nathan ever angrier. That evening, Nathan visited his father. I want everything you can find about Luke Harper. His father looked up. Why? Because I don't believe he came here by accident. The storm arrived during the night. Rain hammered the ranch roof. Wind rattled every window. Emily couldn't sleep. She kept thinking about the letter, about Luke, about her father's face just before dawn. Benjamin knocked softly on her bedroom door. I need to tell you something. She had never seen him look so old. He sat quietly beside the fireplace. 12 years ago, Thomas Harper was my closest friend. Emily listened silently when the payroll disappeared. I believe everyone else. I never asked him for the truth. He simply left. Benjamin's voice broke. I judged an innocent man. Emily reached for her father's hand. So Luke, Benjamin nodded. He is Thomas' son. Emily whispered, He never came here for revenge. Benjamin shook his head. He came back to keep his father's promise. Tears filled Benjamin's eyes. I failed my friend outside. Horse hoofs thundered into the yard. One of Nathan's hired investigators climbed off his horse. He carried a folder. Nathan opened it eagerly. What did you find? The ranch hand's real name isn't Luke Harper. Nathan smiled. I knew it. The investigator continued. It's Luke Harper, son of Thomas Harper. Nathan's smile slowly faded. My father knew Thomas Harper. So did mine. The investigator hesitated. There is something else, the missing payroll. Your father handled that investigation. Nathan froze. For the first time, he realized the danger if the truth came out. Everything his family had built could disappear. The afternoon, Nathan confronted Benjamin. The wedding should happen immediately. Benjamin looked at him calmly. There won't be a wedding. Nathan stared. What? My daughter is not marrying you. Nathan laughed. You can't cancel this now. Benjamin stood. I already have. Nathan's expression turned cold. You will regret that. Benjamin answered quietly. I already regret something. I won't regret this. Nathan slammed off his as he left outside. He glared toward Luke. This is not over. 3 days later, the entire town gathered inside Willow Creek Church. Not for wedding, for the truth. Benjamin stood before everyone holding Thomas Harper's letter. He read every word aloud. Silence filled the room. Nathan's father lowered his head. He said nothing because there was nothing left to deny. Benjamin walked toward Luke. In front of everyone, he removed his hat. I'm sorry. I should have trusted your father. Luke's eyes filled with tears. He never stopped. You would understand someday. Benjamin placed the old ranch deed into Luke's hands. This land still remembers Thomas Harper. It should remember his family too. Luke gently pushed the deed back. I didn't come for land. I came for peace. Benjamin smiled for the first time in years. You have already earned both. Emily stepped forward. She looked at Luke. No one chose my future this time. I chose it. Luke said nothing. He simply held out his hand. Emily took it. 6 months later, they were married beneath the old oak tree overlooking the ranch. No expensive decorations, no wealthy guests, only family, neighbors, ranch hands. Benjamin himself walked Emily down the aisle. When he placed her hand into Luke, he whispered, Take better care of her than I did. Luke smiled. I already started. Years passed. Benjamin slowly stepped away from ranch work. Luke and Emily managed the ranch together. Emily handled every ledger. Luke managed every pasture. They argued over cattle counts, laughed over morning coffee, raised two children who grew up believing kindness mattered more than wealth. One autumn evening, Benjamin sat on the porch watching his grandchildren race across the fields. The ranch had never been stronger. Emily joined him quietly. What are you thinking about? Benjamin smiled. For years, I believed money protected a family. He watched Luke lifting his youngest son onto a horse. I was wrong. Emily rested her head against his shoulder. What protects family? Benjamin answered without hesitation, choosing the right heart. Instead of the richest one, the sun disappeared beyond the western hills. The horses wandered peaceful toward the barn. And for the first time in 12 years, the Bennett Ranch family felt like home again. Sometimes the greatest mistake is not trusting the wrong person, it's failing to trust the right one. If this story touched your heart, don't forget to like the video, subscribe to the channel, and let me know in the comments what would you have done if you were Emily. Follow your father's decision or follow your own heart. Until our next Wild West story, take care and thank you for listening.